What you see in front of you, according to the Frederick White classification method for steam locomotives, is a 484. That means it has 4 leading wheels, 8 driving wheels, and 4 trailing wheels. But that was not always the case for this here locomotive. Originally built in 1925 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works for the Reading Railroad as number 2037 or 2037, a 280 consolidation. Reading would take 30 of these large engines and rework them to what you see in front of you today as a 484. Emerging from the sprawling shops in Reading, Pennsylvania in 1945 as 2101, the newly rebuilt locomotive, along with 19 other T1s, as the Reading would call them, were intended as mixed-use locomotives. That meaning they could either haul passengers or freight along the Reading's roughly 1,300 miles of track. Except for a minor mishap in July of 1949, the Reading 2101 lived in a relatively uneventful work life until it was taken out of regular service in 1955 and kept as a standby engine for the famed Reading Iron Horse Rambles. With the end of the Ramble tourist excursions in 1964 and complete dieselization of American railroads, our buddies at the Reading Railroad would sell 2101 to Striegel Supply and Equipment, a Baltimore scrapyard. But all is not lost, and nor does our story end here, friends. The scrapper's torch would not come near old 2101, though. In 1974, with 2101 rusting away in the Baltimore Striegel scrapyard, we head up north to New York to find a commodities broker named Ross E. Rowland. After a long uphill slug, Rowland was able to sell the idea of a bicentennial train to celebrate America's 200th birthday with sponsors like General Motors, Kraft Foods, Pepsi, and Prudential Insurance. Rowland was able to gain traction to fund a steel rail parade of America's most coveted historical objects. But what would pull the customized rail cars from city to city? Well, in the age of diesels, Rowland thought it more fitting to have the American Freedom Train be powered by a steam locomotive. And where does one find a steam locomotive in 1974? Well, in a Baltimore scrapyard. Don't look too far. Familiar with Reading's Iron Horse Rambles, Rowland visited Striegel Scrapyard to find 2101 looking less than admirable. But through the eyes of Rowland's experienced steam locomotive machinist, 2101 was deemed fit for operational restoration. Towed out of Striegel's in February of 1975, 2101 would be taken to Chessie's Riverside shops south of Federal Hill. With the help of volunteers and paid experienced steam mechanics, the old Reading T1 was restored to operation in no less than 5 weeks. Yes, you heard me right. Less than 5 weeks. A feat to behold. Used on the eastern leg of the American Freedom Train, 2101 shared the duties with the restored Southern Pacific Daylight 4449, which would pull the western leg. As the train traveled from city to city, it showcased such prodigious American treasures as George Washington's copy of the U.S. Constitution, Willie Mays' bat and glove, and Martin Luther King's vestments and personal Bible. After 2 years and traversing thousands of miles in the eastern section of the U.S., the AFT-1 would then sit cold in Lebanon, New Jersey rail yard until another reveille would wake it from its slumber. (1977 and 1978 would mark the sesquicentennial of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and what better way to celebrate that than with a steam locomotive? Ross Rowland would work with the Chessie System, a corporate conglomeration of the B&O, C&O, and Western Maryland to create the Chessie Steam Special. A chance meeting between Rowland and B&O's former lead of passenger service, William F. Howells, would spark the call for this celebration. Rowland's pitch to the Chessie board of a steam engine traveling along the old B&O trackage was a success, and with that, the AFT-1 was painted into Chessie colors of yellow, vermilion, and dark blue. Beginning in May of 1977, the AFT-1 would pull the special train from Baltimore to Ellicott City and beyond until September of that year, where she was deemed to have too many mechanical issues to continue. Diesels would replace AFT-1 on the remaining Chessie steam specials, but our story and AFT-1 does not end here either. Taken to the former Reading locomotive shops in Reading, PA, 2101 was given a complete overhaul, and in May of the following year, 1978, 2101 was back out on the high iron in better shape and wisping passengers along the old routes of the Baltimore and Ohio. Pulling sold-out trips from May to the end of September of 1978, 2101 and the Chessie Steam Special stand out as one of the greatest public relation tools for any railroad. After the amazing successful trip along the old B&O main line, 2101 would be stored in a roundhouse in Silver Grove, Kentucky. But sadly, on March 7, 1979, a fire swept the roundhouse, severely damaging the locomotive. After careful assessment, it was deemed too expensive to restore 2101 back to steaming operation. Ross Rowland decided to repaint the locomotive back into its American Freedom Train colors and send the engine to the B&O Railroad Museum in exchange for the Chesapeake and Ohio 614. Moved to the museum's front yard in a Labor Day 1979 ceremony, 2101, now back in AFT1 paint, would spend time on different display tracks, allowing the public to behold her in many accomplishments. What you've witnessed today is another historical moment. For the first time in over 30 years, the American Freedom Train No. 1 has been successfully moved to the B&O's restoration shop. So with that said, that is all I have to say. Sit back and enjoy the feat that has unraveled in front of you.
late again and work 2 days. Boss, he says he's gonna dock my pay. That's alright, I don't need it anyway. I'm going for a ride. Left from Columbus not 2 days ago. All through Charleston, West Virginia we'll go. Can't wait to cross the Old Dominion, I know. That's where I call home. We're headed out east on a new railroad, a big new line bound from Ohio. Through the Blue Ridge Mountains we'll go, hauling coal to the banks on the C&O. Long, hard work serving on this train. I swing my hammer through the sun and the rain, and I thank God for everything that I gain. I take a breath of mountain air and it relieves my pain. Not seen my family since I got here, but that's the price you pay forging the steam frontier. It's long, hard work on the train all year. I hold my breath until I make it to the Warwick Pier. I'm headed out east on a new